This is for my couples, whether you are in a relationship or you are married. If you don't like for your partner to express your wrongdoings or be able to highlight your faults, this is a conversation for you. Now, if you don't know that you do this, here are some signs that you may. If your partner tries to point out your faults, your mistakes, your shortcomings, or your wrongdoings, and you become anxious or defensive or upset, that's a sign. If you become dismissive or you try to minimize the significance of the issue, that's another sign. When they acknowledge your wrongs and you become angry or you express any types of frustration, or if you try to shift the blame to avoid responsibility, to absolve you of responsibility, then yes, that's another sign. Now, most times we're doing this because our ego is in a driver's seat. I won't get too much into that, but most times this is what we're doing because our ego is trying to protect ourselves for whatever perceived threat that there is. And sometimes these threats are just imaginary. Sometimes they're not even real. Your ego is not necessarily a bad thing. It's only bad when you have it in situations where you need to maintain a connection. So if your partner's expressing something to you, maybe they're highlighting something that you did to offend them, whether it was intentional or not, you should be able to receive that and maintain a connection as you're communicating through that process. If you cannot, this is a problem. Why do you do all of these things? A number of reasons. If you have to acknowledge your wrongdoings, then it makes you feel vulnerable. And your ego doesn't like to feel vulnerable. And this right here triggers that discomfort and that anxiety that's within you, and that presents itself. You could fear that they're judging you and you may not take well to criticism. And if this happens, your ego is definitely in protection mode. Ego-driven protection. And when you have to admit to those wrongs, it can feel like a blow to your ego and to your self-esteem. So I understand why you're doing it. It's still not healthy. That negative side of your ego is making it hard for you to admit your faults and address these situations. And that's probably the reason why you feel disconnected within your relationship or your marriage. So if this is for you, you got some work to do. I hope this gives you all something to work with. I wish you all the best, happy healing, and happy, healthy relationships. Bye, babies.